Hi everyone, I'm DeMarco along with Steve Budin, and every Sunday and Monday throughout this football season we'll be joining you right here to take a look at some featured games in the pros from a gambling perspective. I, of course, have been a handicapper for over 25 years, so I'm taking a look at these games from a handicapping perspective. Steve, on the other hand, former bookmaker, founder and creator of the offshore sports book.
They call me the George Washington. I hope not because of my looks.
Of the sportsbook betting industry. Hey, he said it. Well, I'm just here, co-hosting. What can I tell you guys? But he obviously takes a look at these games from the other side of the fence, to use a gambling terminology there. You got a great one tonight. New Orleans and Atlanta. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better, I think, than last week's game between Washington and Philadelphia. Couldn't get any worse than that one. And the thing, though, about this contest with the Saints, after that huge come-from-behind win at Miami last week, you've got a big number because you've got no value on New Orleans because they managed to come back and score 30 points in the second half at Miami to remain undefeated coming into this game. So you know the public is all over New Orleans, and you can tell them as a bookmaker that they're going to be paying a premium price.
Every time the public loves something, they're going to jack that number up. You know, look, New Orleans got a little bit lucky, call at the end of the half. Last week against the Dolphins, went in for the touchdown. It was the wrong call. The replay showed knee was down at the half-yard line. Clock should have ran out. Instead, New Orleans turns around, scores a touchdown, changes the momentum for the whole game. Who knows what would have happened if the Dolphins, had held them there, and then all of a sudden New Orleans was facing an insurmountable lead going into the second half.
Because I know when they scored that thing, we talked at halftime of that game, because here on the show, I had the Dolphins,
right,
and he had the Saints. I was thinking, I'm way up in this baby. But I told you, I thought that right there, that touchdown late in the first half in the closing play, that was the thing that was going to turn it around for the Saints, because it gave them hope going into the locker room. And you saw hope turned into momentum, and momentum turned into 30 points in the second half and turned into the huge win for them. But you know what really surprises me? Here we are, going into week number 8. This is the first division game for either one of these teams. It really is shocking how these two teams have certainly played some tough foes, too. I mean, Atlanta had to play Dallas and New England here in the first half of the season, Chicago as well. New Orleans has certainly taken on all-comers as well. Going to Miami, big game where they trounced New York Giants at home. So it's not like they've been beating up with the cupcakes like so many of these other teams have had the benefit of.
What we're going to see here, as we look for the next 10 years in the NFL, the two best quarterbacks in the league. These guys are going to take this NFL into the future with their arms. We're going to see Ryan go up and down the field. Atlanta doesn't have much of a defense. They don't stand a chance against New Orleans and Breeze. Looks like a lot of points at this point, but I tell you, this is a very tough game to call. New Orleans, they're going to have their crowd behind them. They're 6-0. They're pumped up. That Superdome is going to be rocking. But you always got to beware of a backdoor cover with Atlanta and Ryan. He's a pro. He can come down at the end when it doesn't mean anything and connect 1, 2, 3 down the field and score quicker than you know it.
Well, and listen, the Falcons, it's not exactly like they're chopped liver, 4-2 straight up and against the spread this season. And, I think the thing that you mentioned here, though, is how these two teams are going to march up and down the field. How can this not be a high-scoring game? You've got a total here in the mid-50s. To me, that seems very low. I mean, I would have thought that this game would have been priced somewhere around 57 to 59. When I see 54, 55, I'm thinking this is bargain basement price.
It's all going to depend on whether Atlanta can jump out to a lead or not. They're going to try to get the ball and control that clock. Ryan's going to run his short plays. He's going to march them methodically down the field and try to, take as much clock as possible, shortening the game. If that doesn't happen, it's lights out for Breeze, and they're going to start going at each other, and then 55 is going to seem really, really small.
And most of the trends here certainly support the over as well. In fact, Monday night trends so far this year, 7 of the first 8 games here on Monday night have gone over the total this year. 18-5-1, the last 24 Monday night games going back to last season have gone over the total as well. And the New Orleans Saints at home, that's all they do. I mean, it's like ping pong, Drew Brees lights it up like a pinball machine. I mean, they simply go over. They've gone over in 13 of their last 16 games, including 19 of their last 27 at home. Meanwhile, the Falcons have gone over in their last 2 road games as well against New England and Dallas. Not exactly chopped liver in terms of the teams that they were managing to put points on the board against.
And let's admit it, it's just not fun to bet the under when you've got 2 quarterbacks like this. You're going to be sitting there, everyone else is going to have the over, screaming on every touchdown. And what do you root for? Oh, no, don't catch it. Don't throw it. Very tough to root the under in.
And one thing we've seen here, almost backdoor covers with the overs coming through. Late Washington touchdown in the 4th quarter, meaningless touchdown in terms of the point spread, but they get the touchdown, boom, game goes over. The Miami-New York Jets game, that 4th quarter, no one would have thought that game was going to, suddenly you have 5 touchdowns combined by those 2 teams in the 4th quarter. Had the over in that one. Peyton Manning, when he had that dramatic touchdown pass where they only had the ball 15 minutes in that game-winning touchdown pass for the Colts against the Dolphins, put that game over in the closing minutes.
And really set the Colts up to go on a tear right after that. That seemed to be their awakening point. They came down on that drive, and that set them up for the next 3 weeks to come.
So we agree here this week. We're going to take the over in this one, and hopefully this is, as I said, going to be a heck of a lot better game than Washington-Philadelphia. That game could have put you to sleep by the first quarter ended. So go with the over in this one, and remember, Steve and I will be back joining you again next Sunday, as we will every single Sunday and Monday throughout the football season, as once again we break down these games from a point spread perspective.